Do you remember? I guess two questions with this. Number one, do you remember when you first felt the call to priesthood? And number two, do you remember when you actually said, yes, this is what I'm called to be? Like, and was it the same moment? Maybe it was the same moment. I don't know.
It was not the same moment. No, some guys, they just have one of those.
Yeah.
I was living a life of perdition and sin and everything, and then boom, I'm going to be a priest.
Yeah.
But no, for me it was much more spread out. So for the first moment, came and I kind of went through a conversion in my 8th grade year. My dad had a lot to do with that. He really introduced me to the life of faith, and I started praying. I mean, it was just my first prayer. Lord, what do you want me to do for you? That was my very first prayer. I remember so distinctly. I was in a car. We were driving south to Rosholt from Windberg. We're just in the car, and I just remember praying to God, Lord, what do you want me to do for you?
Yeah.
And that came from my father. And that's a dangerous prayer, when you when you pray that, the Lord has been given permission to change you and to mold you into what He wills. And I was praying that prayer really. I mean, that was my prayer life for 2 years. I was so intensely just inundated with that prayer. I was just so encapsulated by it, by its meaning that I am for the Lord.
Yeah.
And so my job is to ask Him, what do you want me to do?
And to be open to what He's going to say.
Yeah, I was in the 10th grade, and my pastor, Father Al Burkhart, we're in Hatley or Weston, I think. They share a pastor. And I was praying there right before Mass, Lord, what do you want me to do for you? What is your will for me? And I was very intensely praying that. And honest to all goodness, during the homily of that Mass, Father Al gets up, walks away from the pulpit, right up to me, and he says, have you ever thought about being a priest? Literally in front of everyone in the middle of the homily. And I'm just like, well, I prayed that prayer,
Yeah.
Maybe that's where I got to go, And so I just told my parents on the way home, I said, I don't know. I've never really thought about that. Maybe I ought to.
Yeah. What was their reaction?
I think they were supportive.
Oh, sure.
I think maybe a little bit surprised. I wasn't maybe the best student or the best. I was in the principal's office a lot.
You were.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
But anyway, I went on a retreat to the seminary, and I remember so distinctly, it wasn't necessarily the priesthood that drew me so much. It was the fact that these men, every day of their lives, ask, Lord, what do you want me to do for you? That's what seminary is about. A lot of people say, well, seminary, that you go there to become a priest. Well, that's true, but it's not strictly true. You are there to learn what the Lord wants of you.
Yeah. And sometimes it's to become a priest, and sometimes it's to be married, and sometimes it's to live the single life. And
it's the Lord's will first.
Yeah.
And I said, if I'm ever going to learn the answer to that question, I have to do it here. And I'm open to the priesthood. So if the Lord calls me, that's where I got to go to learn what He wants.
Yeah.
And so I went, and to your second question, where did I learn the priestly call? Where did that really take me? That happened when I was in seminary. It was about my 3rd year of seminary. I went through a lot of struggles. Where is the Lord calling me? It's difficult to hear His voice, and there's a lot of priests there who help you discern what that is, to learn what the will of the Father is for us. And I felt the peace and joy in ministry that priests do.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time for that to happen, because there's a lot of things mixed in with it. You know, a priest has to suffer a lot, and he has to, you know, and you can mistake that for a lack of peace, but really the peace will overpower.
That is, and I think that's important too, because I wonder if sometimes, you know, guys who are discerning and are going into the seminaries, are they thinking, I'm saying yes to the priesthood right now, before, you know, as I go in, whereas you know, you're saying what was you said 3 years in is when you started really hearing it.
I think a lot of guys get scared by that, just what you said. I think a lot of guys think, I got to go right into seminary right now because God's calling me to priest. It's like, slow down, dude.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
You know, God might be calling you to be a priest, but right now He wants you to be His son.
Right.
He wants you to learn how to listen to His voice. He wants to make you a man of prayer, of peace and joy first.
Yeah.
And then once you're a son, then you can become a father.
Yeah.